Well, looky here. We're heading back, but it looks like we got a train track on either side of the road. So this is some just joking here. So it looks like Hobo Skidmark he got like a 2-lane railroad highway here. I wonder if he's in the neighborhood right now. Well, we're heading back after seeing my doctor, and I'll post the video I just shot in front of the clinic. And I particularly want to give a shout out to Cass Comerford, who's 80 years old and a smoker. He seems to be more of a puffer like me. I actually kind of I do this to all doctors. I've given myself, I did have hot green tea this morning at Starbucks to make sure that my sinuses were open. And after my doctor, then she doesn't always do it, but she got up and checked my lungs because, of the great pandemic. Oh, look, there's a grainer. I just saw a hobo shit stain. Go ahead, man. I know you got a vehicle in front of you. There he is, and there's Hobie Stoby. Look at him there. That's just fascinating. Yeah, I rode the cyanide train. This is for my. Anyway, Cass, my doctor suddenly kind of got up and she went to check my lungs, and I did it my way, which is I inhaled through the nose and then out through the mouth, and I was taking deep inhalations to show that I've got a little congestion in my nose, but you can't really tell it. And for a 70-year-old smoker, I was taking super deep breaths and blowing them out and just demonstrating to her that not every smoker is sick or gets sick from it, because I don't smoke strong tobacco, and I don't suck it way down into my lungs like an alcoholic or a meth head. So I don't have that lung damage and stuff. It's mostly that hand to mouth. We had a little chat about that. Einstein just spent a lot of his time just actually I think this is Hearn again. That's actually the old that's actually was a door factory, I believe, right there. And this is actually there's a turnoff up here. We're in Lost Creek. Well, it don't look too lost. And we're in the city of Hearn, which has never really gotten above the one horse town level. I'm not sure why, but just wanted to let everybody know who's been kind of giving me shit about smoking when they're fucking usually smoking meth and shit, which will constrict your lungs to nothing. And actually my doctor had to kind of admit that my lungs were not only clear, but she could tell that I was getting really good lung volume. And but then again, I was an athlete, and I practiced Zazen. I practiced the art of breathing for a long time, still do it on a regular basis. And that's what I was demonstrating to her, was that I had taken my medication and stuff that relaxes my diaphragm, and I was able to take full, uninterrupted, through the nose, out through the mouth, inhalations and exhalations, because I like to always remind the doctor. I even told her the story about the ER room in Pflugerville and stuff. It's that when I told the doctor that when she asked me how I was treating it, I told her benzalkonium chloride, because I have an education. I am intelligent. I'm no mental match for that genius known as Skidmark Hobo shit stain. Looky here, they're just coming out of Hearn, boy. Hearn's a good place to jump on a grainer there, Hobo. If you're looking for a spot, Hearn will hook you up. I missed pointing out the turn off to Franklin, Texas, which, see, the 1 year I played football in Texas, they weren't allowed because I had been in California my freshman year. They weren't allowed to advance me to varsity, so I was stuck on junior varsity, and it was like we had a monster killer team. But one of the most hilarious football games, other than the Iola and Lady Bird, that was one of the greatest football games I've ever seen. But I remember we actually had a football game with Franklin, which is am I making in that direction? Franklin's a little bitty town out in the country. They have trouble getting, maybe 18, 20 guys on a team. And I remember when we pulled up there to the Franklin football field, you could tell that they had only recently pulled the cattle off of it. There was clumps of grass 10, 12 inches high, and then divots. It was just the most ridiculous, unmaintained football field I'd ever seen in my life. And I got to make mention, since I brought it up, one of the most exciting football games I've ever seen in my lifetime was Iola versus the Love Lady, whatever I think was and little old tiny Iola, Texas. And I remember in particular one play where they handed off to the brother, and the brother could run. And I swear to God, he was about 60 yards from the goal line, but he would go forward, then he'd go sideways, then run back around. And that guy ran probably 350, 400 yards to make a 60-yard touchdown. It was wild. The whole game was like that. It was just so unpredictable and all over the place. Look at that. See right there? That's money. That is money. And there's another Hobo Heaven. Oh, that's the perfect place for him. I got to mention him in here. And that looks like it was probably corn last year, based on the corn stubble that's been plowed back into it. Damn, I remember tiny little intersections like this.
To the left.
Yeah, they got the irrigation. They're out there. They're growing sod or something. Probably because sod is a big seller around here, because you need grass after you get through building a new building and stuff. And looks like a big, what we call turf or sod farm. And that stuff sells, baby. That you can grow a new crop pretty quickly and get out there and cut it, stack it, put it on pallets, and get it to the site. It's a money maker. And here we cross the mighty Brazos River, and I remember that old bridge, iron bridge up there. That ain't the little Brazos, ain't it? That's the actual. Okay, it might have been the little Brazos. No, that's the Brazos, because we're in the right spot for it. That's actually kind of a weird spot. That's the spot. That's probably why the fields around here are rich, because you could tell the fact that we weren't very high and there weren't eroded banks, that's a spot where when the river does flood, it carries sediment and deposits it, just like the Nile River maintained richness, because it flooded in a lot of spots, would bring in fresh minerals and sediments and organic material and deposit it. It's been kind of a great day, but I'm in a good mood because I worked hard to get to see my doctor. That's the first time I've seen her in a year. I think I saw her sometime in 2022 in the fall. And she has hooked me up with a surgeon. Oh, there's Hobo skid marks. I want to get that cattle in there. That's some pretty good looking grub right there. That's what we in Texas call vitamin B. It ain't beer, it's beef. So Yeah, it's got that gray winter look. It's kind of that depressing time of year when you need a little herbal relief, you know what I mean? I may work on that this afternoon. Uh, there's a bunch of them red berry. They grow to about 20, 25 feet tall. And I've seen some specimens that were just spectacular. Here's a typical kind of, you can tell them when you got a little, there you go, he's got a little column up there. Oh, they having a party. Either that or he's got a lot of cars. This is a lot of what the heart of Texas looked like. Is people, a lot of we're passing what look like fairly modest houses, but a lot of times those people have a net worth of million or millions of dollars between the oil and gas and the value of their agricultural land. It's actually, we're doing pretty good. That's actually one of the few big cell phone towers on the way here. And that's actually, that property looks good for deer hunting. There's a, bet you, I know there's a little pond down in that, and the ducks love them shielded ponds. Ducks really don't like open ponds. They like some brush right up to the edge to prevent like a coyote from jumping out in the water and snagging them. Or they also like the windbreak. Just giving you a little, till there was an old, farmhouse that they've abandoned. And if you're an able-bodied person, there's just in places like this, there are plenty of places you can get indoors and you can squat in there, and the owner wouldn't really care as long as you're not doing any damage and stuff, as long as you're not trashing the place up, as long as you're carrying off your trash and they can, not messing up his property, they really wouldn't care because they're not there. They live in Houston or San Antonio or Dallas, and they never come inspect it. I've got neighbors that haven't inspected their property in probably 55 years, somewhere in that range. They haven't come up once from San Antonio. There's an old house, 2-story. That little thing with the red deal on top of it, that looks like it may have been a molasses feeder. Shockley. Actually, I may know them. That may be Bruce Shockley. He's got a lot of pasture land there. Cattle grazing. I think it was about 20 years ago. Man, the price of beef was really low. Almost wasn't worth raising them, but here a while back, especially with my neighbors and other people getting onto the black brand, the Angus hybrids and Angus beef, and price of beef went way up, and now it's once again profitable to raise beef. The great thing about raising beef is you can raise beef and then have like another business, or there's that church I pointed out before. You can raise beef and then like have you a regular job, work at the post office. We're surrounded by people that usually have 2 jobs, one of them agricultural and another one in a factory or something like that. These are generally around here industrious people. We have no fear of, you know, of work, and often feel guilty if they're not working 7 days a week. Most of the good Christian folk I know around here, they go to church. They have lunch with their parents, their elderly parents on Sunday, and then they go about tending to their rural property, and or sometimes they'll have a contract or a job that they have to take care of, and they make money on the weekends with their various skills, welding, electrician, so on. This looks like only about actually that looks like a private radio tower or an incompleted cell tower. Nope, that's actually a private, it's like a private ham radio tower right back there. Whoops, somebody got the bad end of that storm. I told you we was going to be going the back roads today. We're really out stalking Skidmark, Hobo, shit stain. We've been covering all the rails between North Austin to Bryan, Texas. Well, not all the rails, but see there's some amber waves of grain. Colo recto. You know, you people look at that and you see, well, I just see a field full of grass. Look at all them deer. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And actually looked like they was pretty much all. They have a tendency to run in all female packs, usually with the elder female heading them up. The elder female will actually be the mother of all of them, really. But I like me some venison. I generally like just meat. And yeah, meat is definitely my favorite food. And there's a right-of-way. There was another deer. They're out, even though it's windy. They don't really usually like to move around during the wind. They like to hunker down. I know I've stopped at that road stop before. There's another right-of-way cleared. What do they got? A bunch of goats, or I don't know. It almost looked like a little herd of deer. Well, they didn't look like goats. There's a little stripper well right there. It ain't producing much, but if it's all going to one person, that's a good chunk of change every month. A little stripper well like that can make you a couple $1,000s a month at current prices. And notice how small the pump jack was? That's what we call a stripper well. It was one of the old, that was obviously one of the wells that went into the Austin Chalk Formation. And here we go. There's Hobo's on either side of the road now. He's got us cornered. Well, that's a lot of pasture land. You can run a lot of cattle. I'm gonna kill this at 20 minutes.